Hi, I'm Michelle. Welcome to my restaurant. It's quiet here now at startup, but soon we'll be serving breakfast.
$3.59 your total.
With all the customers we'll have today, it's absolutely critical that we serve safe, high-quality food. Our goal of 100% customer satisfaction depends on it. That's why we're going to take a close look at the Food Safety Daily Checklist. Completing the checklist every day is essential to ensure that food safety standards and procedures are met. We also must ensure compliance with health department requirements and McDonald's high-quality standards. We keep completed checklists on file to demonstrate that our food safety standards have been met, checked, and signed off by the manager. The checklist and this video is divided into 3 sections: startup, breakfast, and transition to regular menu. Each section of the video is color-coded and includes the running time of that section. This makes it easier to find each section and plan the time it will take you to view if you need to reference a section at a later time. We're going to highlight the main points of each part of the checklist, but you'll want to have a copy of your own food safety checklist. You can stop the video whenever you need to read a section in greater detail. As you complete the checklist, if you find any item that is not correct or does not meet the standard, take immediate corrective action. For issues related to temperature-based items, the food safety booklet contains troubleshooting information to help you take corrective actions. They must be documented on the checklist in the space provided. Ready to get started? Food safety checks at startup need to be completed as early in the day as possible. In fact, local legislation or regulations may require you to perform these checks before any product is cooked. Check your food safety booklet. These are checks of equipment, refrigerated products, and supplies. Unlike the other sections of the checklist, they do not involve observation of the actions of crew. You're going to be making these checks: pyrometer calibrated, refrigerated products in code, secondary shelf lives clearly marked, and open products covered or wrapped. You'll make several temperature checks of refrigerated products and air in the freezer units. You'll also need to check supplies at the sinks, the sanitized towel buckets, glove supply, cleanliness of grill surfaces and Teflon sheets, and the condition of grill tools. To start, make sure the pyrometer is in calibration so that all temperature readings are accurate. To do this, take a hot cup, fill it with ice, and add cold water from the beverage tower to fill the cup. Immerse the probe and swirl it around until the temperature stops changing. It should read 32 degrees plus or minus 2 degrees Fahrenheit. If the reading is not correct, the pyrometer needs to be recalibrated. Follow the manufacturer's instructions to recalibrate, or you may need to send the pyrometer in for repair or purchase a new one. Next, check to make sure all refrigerated products are within their code dates. You may want to start in the walk-in refrigerator and spot check produce items and dairy products for code dates and proper rotation. If there are cases of refrigerated products anywhere else, you should also check their use-through dates. While you're in the walk-in, also look to make sure any secondary shelf life dates or times have been clearly marked. Some examples would be products that are being thawed or open bags of product like lettuce or onions. Looking for these code dates is critical for refrigerated products. Even when held at the right temperature, sensitive products like lettuce can spoil if given enough time. All open products or containers must also be covered or wrapped. Check to make sure all salad ingredients are in the appropriate Cambro containers with lids. Any other opened packages must be covered appropriately. Keeping food covered is important to prevent contamination of the food. Spot check all refrigerators or freezers to make sure open products are covered and within code. Next, you'll perform a series of temperature checks. Since we're in the walk-in, start with a random check of a refrigerated product's actual temperature. All products must be maintained at an internal temperature between 34 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Hold the tip of the pyrometer tightly between 2 packages that have been refrigerated overnight or longer, or fold a single package around the tip until the readout on the pyrometer stabilizes. Record the type of product checked and its measured internal temperature on the checklist. The walk-in is just one of the refrigerated units in the restaurant. You'll need to check the internal temperature of one product from every other refrigerated unit too. Here we'll test a creamer. Stick the probe directly into the creamer and read the temperature. Again, it should read between 34 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Discard the creamer when you're done. If any refrigerated products are below the standard, check all of the areas listed in the troubleshooting section and take the appropriate corrective action. Next, measure the temperature in the shake and sundae machine. Sanitize the probe first with a sanitized towel or by swirling the probe in some sanitizer solution. Then immerse the probe in the mix reservoir and swirl it until the temperature stabilizes. It should read between 34 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. If your shake machine has a digital readout, cross-check the readings from your pyrometer for accuracy. Once we're done with all of the refrigerated units, it's time to check the freezer temperatures. Here, we'll measure the temperature of the air, not the products. Read the temperature if there is a thermometer mounted inside the freezer. The temperature should read 0 degrees Fahrenheit or below. If no thermometer is mounted inside the freezer, you can check the air temperature inside with the pyrometer. However, be careful not to leave the pyrometer in the freezer longer than 5 minutes, as it can damage the unit. As with refrigerators, be sure all products are within code dates and proper first in, first out procedures are being followed. Next, we need to measure the air temperature in any other freezer units in the restaurant, like the grill side freezers. Record the temperature of each freezer on the checklist. If the air temperature of any freezer is not within standards, check all of the areas listed in the troubleshooting section to find the cause of the problem, then take corrective action. Make sure you document all the temperatures and checks you do as you go down the checklist. After you've performed all the temperature checks at startup, check for required supplies at all hand washing sinks. Check that the soap dispenser and warm running water are available and functioning in each hand washing sink, and that hand dryers are functioning or paper towels are available. Check the back sink to make sure it's functioning properly and holds water, and that all K-Star dispensers are filled with the correct chemicals and dispense McD APSC and K-Quat solutions. Make sure that cleaning supplies like brushes and no-scratch pads are available. Buckets of clean, sanitized towels and sanitizer solution at the proper concentration must be in the grill and front counter area. Sanitizer solution in the buckets should be clean and free of food debris or particles. Without clean sanitizer solution, the towels will not be able to clean and sanitize the surfaces. During the day, you'll change the sanitizer solution when it becomes dirty, and also when a new load of washed towels is added to the bucket. You'll also need to check to make sure that the solution has been prepared properly. If you're using McD sanitizer, start with 2.5 gallons of lukewarm water in each towel bucket. Add 1 packet of McD sanitizer and mix by hand until dissolved. When prepared properly, a McD sanitizer solution will have a concentration of 100 parts per million. To check the sanitizer concentration, use chlorine test strips available through your distribution center. Simply dip 1 strip in the solution and then match the color to the vial. If the concentration is below 50 parts per million, the solution needs to be discarded and replaced with new solution. Check the salad prep area to make sure disposable gloves are available. And make sure your crew always uses them for salad preparation or other prep activities such as tomato slicing and lemon wedging. Check to see that gloves are available at all areas where required by local regulations, including colored, disposable, heat-resistant gloves at the grill area. Inspect all the grill surfaces to make sure that they have been cleaned properly and are free of any excessive carbon buildup. Pay special attention to the underside of the upper grill platen surface, especially in the rear corners. Excessive carbon buildup on and under Teflon sheets can prevent proper or consistent cooking of beef patties. Check the sheets for tears or holes, too. A grill that is not cleaned each day using the proper procedures will be much more difficult and time-consuming to recover to a proper condition. All scrapers and spatulas should be sharpened at least 5 times per day. After sharpening, check the edges for any burrs. Burrs are created when a tool's edge is so sharp that curly pieces of metal form when it is used at the grill or when the spatula is nicked or the corner is bent. To remove burrs, rub the sharpened edge lightly across the file and round the corners. This completes your food safety checks at startup. The person completing this portion of the checklist should sign it. If anything was discovered that needs to be corrected or is not to standards, take appropriate corrective action and report it to the manager. Next, we'll move to the breakfast portion of the food safety checklist. Some of these checks involve monitoring crew to make sure that all correct food preparation, cleaning, and sanitizing procedures are being followed. You'll also be making several temperature checks of cooked food products. Checklist items include making sure that employees are healthy and are following hand washing procedures, gloves are being worn when required, and towels and utensils are properly used. You'll also check time control for refrigerated products held at room temperature in the grill area, and proper cleaning and sanitizing of UHC trays, grill utensils, prep table utensils, and their holders. Checks of prepared food products will include cooked eggs and breakfast meats. Begin by making sure that all employees working in the restaurant appear healthy and are not suffering from any disease or medical condition which could result in illness being passed on from person to person or via food. Any employee with open cuts or sores on their hands should not touch or prepare food. Spot check employees starting work in food preparation areas to make sure that they are washing their hands properly. Make sure that all crew are following the timed hand washing system. Proper and frequent hand washing by all employees is one of the most proactive steps we can take to ensure food safety. The process begins with a timer sound signaling the start. The manager deactivates the timer and resets it for the next hour and then washes his or her hands. Each employee takes a turn washing his or her hands. He or she then notifies the next person according to the hand washing cycle chart. If anyone is too busy to leave their station when it's their turn to wash, the manager should temporarily fill in at their station so they can go wash their hands. The shift manager ends the cycle by washing his or her hands if they did not do so already. This process helps make hand washing an important part of the daily operations and involves everyone. Make sure that the hand washing timer is reactivated each hour. Check that procedures for prevention of cross-contamination when handling all raw food products are in place. Disposable gloves must be worn for food preparation at the salad station. Check to see that gloves are available at all areas where required by local regulations. Check for proper glove use at all stations where gloves are being used. At food prep areas, check that towels are being used for only one cleaning activity. Sanitized towels should not be left sitting out. Check to make sure that both yellow and white Hutzler spatulas are available at the grill area. The yellow Hutzler should only be used to break the yolks on round eggs during cooking. The white Hutzler spatula or meat spatulas are used to handle cooked eggs. Observe that the yellow Hutzler is stored so that it does not come into contact with utensils used for cooked products. The yellow Hutzler needs to be kept in the dedicated slot in the breakfast tool organizer or on a dedicated stainless surface. Using a separate yellow Hutzler spatula for touching raw eggs prevents cross-contamination between cooked and raw products. Check to make sure the secondary shelf lives are indicated on the shelled eggs, pasteurized eggs, and breakfast meats in the grill area, or that the secondary shelf life tool is being used. Make sure all UHC trays, egg rings, Hutzler spatulas, grill utensils, prep table utensils, and breakfast tool organizers are cleaned and sanitized at least every 4 hours using the 3-compartment sink method or approved dishwasher. This will control potential bacterial growth on trays and utensils. To complete the breakfast section of the checklist, you'll need to check various cooked products. The first one, the visual check on round eggs, should be made ideally before any products are served. The other food product checks should be done within the first half hour of breakfast operations. Here's the procedure to check cooked round eggs for gelled yolks. Cook a full run of round eggs. Once the cooking cycle ends, remove them to a clean UHC tray in the same sequence they were laid. Randomly select 2 of the eggs. Using a white Hutzler spatula, split the 2 eggs in half. Examine each yolk. The yolk should be gelled, not runny. Discard the 2 eggs that were tested. If the eggs are runny or show any signs of undercooking, immediately discard the entire run of eggs. Sanitize the UHC tray as well as the white Hutzler spatula. Troubleshoot and take corrective action until the proper visual characteristics are achieved. Cooking eggs until they are firm and not runny will ensure serving a safe product. Check cooked food in the holding cabinets to make sure all food is at or above 140 degrees Fahrenheit. First, sanitize the probe of the pyrometer. Make sure the product being probed has been held in the holding cabinet for at least 10 minutes. Insert the sanitized probe and take a reading. Check the temperature of 1 meat or egg product from every shelf of the UHC. Record the product with the lowest measured temperature on the checklist. Check all hot holding units. If any product is below the standard, check all the areas listed in the troubleshooting section and take the appropriate corrective action. Health departments require that hot food be held at or above 140 degrees Fahrenheit because this prevents the growth of any harmful bacteria from occurring. This completes the breakfast section of the checklist. The person completing this portion of the checklist should sign it. If anything was discovered that needs to be corrected or is not to standards, take appropriate corrective action and report it to the manager. The last part of the daily checklist is the regular menu section. We covered many of these items in the breakfast section, so we won't repeat those. Instead, we'll look at the specific food safety checks that apply to the cooked beef and chicken products on the regular menu. Pay careful attention because there are differences from the breakfast product testing procedures. With beef products, there are also critically important differences from previous procedures. Ideally, internal temperature checks on these products should be completed before any products are served. And all the regular menu checks should be completed after transition and sometime before the lunch rush. First, a quick reminder about the timed hand wash system. Of course, it continues throughout the day. Note the items that are similar to those for breakfast checks. They still need to be completed again for the regular menu. Check to make sure whenever containers are refilled at the prep table that clean, sanitized containers are used. This is to ensure that the new product is not put on top of old. Otherwise, time control will not be possible, and there is a risk that product on the bottom of the container will remain at room temperature for extended periods. As during breakfast, you must do a hot holding check of the temperatures of all food held in UHCs. During regular menu hours, you may also need to check temperatures in other hot holding units such as soup cookers or marinators. All cooked food should be 140 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Now let's take an in-depth look at how to take internal temperature checks for beef products. You'll need to follow these steps to complete the check on each product from all sections of grill that are being used to cook each type of product. Pay close attention because there are a number of changes from the procedures you've been used to. You'll check regular menu beef patties to satisfy 2 key requirements. The first is the food safety standard. All internal temperatures must be at or above 156 degrees after cooking. In addition, at least one of the 4 internal temperatures you measure meets the quality standard of an internal temperature between 156 and 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Corrective action must be taken if either of these standards are not met and documented on the checklist. After transition and sometime before the lunch rush, a trained and verified person must establish daily cook times assisted by a crew person. Here the test run is 10-to-1 patties. On the first platen, cook a full run of patties following normal patty placement guidelines. Sanitize the pyrometer probe. As soon as the clamshell opens, immediately season each patty individually. Remove them from the grill in 3 stacks onto a clean UHC tray with liner as quickly as possible. Remember that 10-to-1 patties must be seasoned and removed within 15 seconds. Once all of the patties have been removed, immediately probe the first patty that was removed. You are only required to obtain 1 temperature from the center of each patty probed. This is a change from previous procedure. Note that you need to probe at an angle midway through the depth of the patty at the center. It's critical to allow the temperature for each reading to stabilize. This can take a few seconds.
163.
Using a white Hutzler spatula, tongs, or with a gloved hand, probe this corner patty. Continue to probe the rest of the corner patties with the same procedure.
151.
In this case, 2 of the readings were below 156 and did not meet the food safety requirement of all 4 patties at or above 156. The run must be discarded. Wash and sanitize the UHC tray and sanitize the pyrometer probe. So you'll need to increase the cooking time and repeat the check on another run of patties to determine that all of the internal temperatures meet both the safety and quality standards. To adjust the grilling time, hold in the program button for approximately 5 seconds. When it displays this program area, press it again and it displays menu. Then, press the menu key until the display matches the product being cooked, 10-to-1 patties. Using the temperature button, scroll through the settings until you reach the time adjustment. Raise the time up 1 second. Then press the program key and the right arrow, and you're back in the cook mode. To check the cook time adjustment you just did, cook another run of patties. The objective is to see if the temperatures satisfy both the food safety requirement and the quality requirement. Again, season each patty individually as soon as the clamshell opens. Immediately after removing all patties, take the center internal temperature of the 4 corner patties as before.
166. 167. 175. 165.
All 4 temperatures are above the minimum 156 degree standard, which meets the food safety requirement, and 1 patty was within the quality zone, from 156 to 165 degrees. Note that even though the other 3 temperatures were higher than 165 degrees, this test run meets the quality standard because of the one that tested within the quality zone. It's normal to have temperature variations on the same run. These patties are moist and tender and cooked just right. Be sure to repeat these steps for each grill platen used for 10-to-1 production. In addition, be sure to record all final temperatures and cook times in the Food Safety Daily Checklist. Establishing daily cook times for 4-to-1 patties is done the same as with 10-to-1 patties. You cook a full run of 6 4-to-1 patties. The same person cooks the patties and takes the temperatures. You'll take 1 reading from each of the 4 corner patties, and you still use the same safety and quality standard to determine your cook time. Begin by sanitizing the pyrometer probe. When setting up a quarter grill, a trained and verified person will cook 6 patties. Season and remove the patties in stacks of 2. Upon removal of the last patty, replace the spatula and pick up the pyrometer. Probe the first patty removed, the same as for 10-to-1 patties.
166.
Note that this is a change from previous procedure.
170.
It is no longer necessary to wait 60 seconds on quarters before probing for internal temperature.
82. 178.
All 4 temperatures are above the minimum 156 degree standard for food safety, but they are also all above the quality range. This test run is unacceptable from a quality point of view. You'll need to adjust the grilling time down. As before, hold in the program button for approximately 5 seconds. When it displays this program area, press it again and it displays menu. Then, press the menu key until the display matches the product being cooked, 4-to-1 patties. Using the temperature button, scroll through the settings until you reach the time adjustment. Lower the time by 1 second. Then press the program key and the right arrow, and you're back in the cook mode. You'll need to repeat this check of the 4-to-1 patties using another 6 patties, the same as the first run.
170.
When food safety and food quality standards have been met and the grill time has been set, record the temperatures and the cook time in your food safety daily checklist. No further validation is required. Repeat these tests until all sections of the grill have been checked. If one platen of the grill will be used to cook 2 types of beef patties during the day, make sure to do a complete check on both types of patties. Let's review these important points about checking the temperatures of beef products. Remember, when taking temperatures, each patty is probed once in the center. It is important for beef quality that patties be seasoned and removed as quickly as possible after the platen begins to rise and within the maximum removal times, 15 seconds for full runs of 10-to-1 patties and 15 seconds for full runs of 4-to-1 patties. For all full run validations of the 10-to-1 patties, it's critical that the temperature be measured immediately after all patties are removed from the grill, because the patties begin to cool as soon as they're pulled.
157.
To meet the food safety standard, all internal temperatures must be at or above 156 degrees after cooking. In addition, at least one of the 4 internal temperatures you measure must meet the quality standard of an internal temperature between 156 and 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And puddling juices should not be used as signs of proper cooking. To ensure correct temperatures, make sure the temperature on the pyrometer has stabilized a few seconds before recording a temperature. Never cook more than a full run. One additional reminder, starting cook time guidelines are just that, guidelines. Don't think of them as set cook times. Actual cook times are to be reconfirmed and potentially reset frequently. Next, we need to take the temperatures of the raw chicken products we cook in the restaurant: Chicken McNuggets, Crispy Chicken, Chicken McGrill, and McChicken. First, sanitize the pyrometer probe, then check to make sure the oil level in the vat is at the appropriate level. Cook a full run of the product you are checking. Once the product is done, immediately take a temperature reading from 4 random pieces in the thickest portion. Record the temperatures on the checklist. If any temperature reading is below the minimum, move that portion off to the corner of the tray and let it sit for 1 additional minute. Then take another temperature reading in the same part of the portion, the thickest part. If the new reading is above 165 degrees, record this temperature on the checklist. In addition, using a universal spatula, cut this portion in half through the thickest part and examine the interior. It should appear fully cooked with no visible raw or undercooked areas. If the new readings are still below the minimum or the portion appears undercooked, dispose of all the portions from the run. Clean and sanitize the tray and the universal spatula, and sanitize the pyrometer probe. Check all areas in the troubleshooting guide and take corrective action. Undercooked products can never be served. After correcting any problems, cook another full run of product and repeat the test. Document the corrective actions taken. For Chicken McGrill, cook a full run of Chicken McGrill portions. After the cooking cycle ends, remove all patties to the UHC tray. Immediately probe in the thickest portion.
172.
All internal temperatures for chicken products must be at or above 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Record all temperatures on the Food Safety Daily Checklist. Again, the person completing the regular menu section of the checklist should sign it. We've just completed all the information on one Food Safety Daily Checklist. Remember, completion of the checklist is a manager's responsibility. You must sign the checklist at the top after validating that all the items on the checklist have been completed. The manager completing each section should sign off on it too. If you have any questions, you can always call your regional food safety coordinator or your quality assurance manager. You can see how critical it is to our success that all these procedures be followed. Completing the Food Safety Daily Checklist is one of the ways you can ensure that McDonald's will always be our customers' favorite way and place to eat.